But you look at Travis Benjamin had a hamstring in camp too, and in the off season, and look at him. He's out there and he's running 4.3s.
He's catching touchdowns,
and he's playing the game the right way. You look at other players who were out there, like even going back before he was cut, Terrell Pryor had a hamstring injury and he busted his tail. When he was out there, he tried. He legitimately wanted to make this team as a wide receiver. And personally, I would like to see a project rather than Dwayne Bowe right now. And I understand the Browns said that we can't afford to have a project on the roster all year taking up a roster spot. Hello? You have two of them right now. One's on offense, one's on defense. Dwayne Bowe and Justin Gilbert.
Yeah.
Neither one of them should have made this team out of training camp because they were jokes all throughout the preseason, couldn't play, and when they did, you almost wish they wouldn't. Neither of them belong on this team, and you have to look at it and say that signing of Dwayne Bowe is as much of an indictment on Ray Farmer's talent evaluation as any draft pick that is bombed in the last 2 years. Seriously, that will be the nail in his coffin if he gets fired, is the fact that they paid Dwayne Bowe almost $10 million and then had to jettison him.
Wow. Yeah. You're listening to The Doghouse, your inside look at the Cleveland Browns. Andy McNamara alongside Matt Fleur-Jancic from WKYC Sports in Cleveland. So, Matt, all right, we ripped apart the offense enough. Defense. Joe Hayden said, and you said earlier in the show, okay, hey, if he's playing with hurt ribs, that is commendable. The problem is, Joe said it. He said, I stayed in the game because we had nobody else. And you mentioned him in a couple seconds ago. You have Justin Gilbert active for that game. You have a first-round pick that this team feels a guy with busted-up ribs who can't breathe would do better than a first-round pick at cornerback. An absolutely useless individual on this team. And guess what? He contributed in one way, Matt. He contributed to help the Oakland Raiders because he bumped into Travis Benjamin when he muffed that punt. That's all Justin Gilbert did. He bumped into Travis Benjamin to force the punt. Thanks, Justin. You'd be better if you were nursing that hip flexor. I just don't get it. That whole defense, that whole secondary was torched all day long and looked not just below average. They looked terrible for that high price and the 3 Pro Bowlers that are on it.
I'll give Joe Hayden the break and say that he played against Amari Cooper less than 100%, and he did it knowing full well that the team had nothing behind him.
Yeah.
And for as deep of a secondary as we were supposed to have this year and as number one in the league as they were supposed to be, one injury should not kill your entire secondary. And unfortunately for the Browns, that seemed to be the case because they started to pick on Hayden real quick.
Oh, yeah.
And, you can't fault them. It's a joke of a defense right now. I mean, to say that they want to be predicated on stuffing the run and rushing the passer, they need to take whatever playbook they have, throw it in the fireplace, and forget about it because it's not working. Whatever they did to improve their run defense, it's actually gotten worse.
Yes.
They've given up more yards. The Raiders came in, their Raiders running back, Latavius Murray, came into the game with 109 yards in 2 games. He finished with almost 140 yards against you.
Oh.
Okay? That's one guy.
Same as last year, though, Matt, right? Who was it with the Ravens? Latalia Farrow, whatever the heck his name is. No one ever heard of him. He ran for like 100. Yeah. It's the same story.
It's the same story, different chapter. And quite frankly, I'm getting sick of seeing Jim O'Neill stand up there every Thursday and say, we're going to be better against the run. We want to be better. I don't care if you want it. You don't have the horses in the barn to do it. You're either that or you can't coach it right. One of the two. So you either throw your players under the bus or you fall on your sword like a man. Because something ain't right. Something's not working. And they better figure it out quick because the running backs only get better from here.
Oh, sure.
You turn average running backs, and nothing against Latavius Murray. I didn't know much about him before he played. I do now. But I don't spend as much time in the film room as these coaches allegedly do. I'm starting to wonder what they're working till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning on because it sure doesn't look like game planning.
No.
Obviously it doesn't, because look at the results. They've been awful. They've been worse than awful. Giving up 150 yards to an Oakland Raiders offense on the ground is absolutely atrocious. And I heard somebody say it yesterday that Derek Carr's jersey looked like the after in the before and after in the laundry detergent commercial, because he's basically untouched the whole day.
Huh.
Like, what the hell are you paying Paul Kruger for? Why did you draft? Well, they didn't draft him, but why do you have Barkevius Mingo on this roster?
Where
you have
was
all
Nate
these guys that are supposed to be expert pass rushers, and they can't even get up the field to get in the pocket.
No. Like, Matt, where? What's the story with Nate Orchard? He has done nothing. Like, is he hurt? Like, he was active, wasn't he? Like, where this was your second round pick, this was your answer at the outside to compliment Paul Kruger. And he's
beware of people who have 1 year flashes in college. That's all I'm going to say about Nate Orchard. He had 3 sacks his junior year, and he went out and he had 18.5 his senior year. And he said it was because he got married and he focused and he really, he knew football is what he wanted to do, so it mattered more to him. Beware of guys like that. Give me solid production over a 2, 3, 4 year stretch, and I'll be more interested in what you have to say. Give me a 1 year flash, and I'm going to be really, really guarded about what you can do. And truthfully, that's exactly what Nate Orchard is right now. He's a 1 year flash that hasn't figured it out at the pros yet. I look at other teams' outside linebackers, and they're very menacing-looking, huge human beings, and we have one guy who sort of fits that bill, and that's Paul Kruger. The other two are very wiry and athletic, and that's good, but Mingo's playing a lot of special teams, and never mind the fact that he roughed the punter and cost you, what could have been good field position, especially with Rabbit back there returning. This team just can't do anything that they said they wanted to. They want to get after the passer. The only passer they've been able to touch, much less get after, was a rookie in his second career start. They wanted to be better against the run. Everybody's run better against the Browns this year than they did last year, and they were already the worst run defense in the league at 142 yards per game. Now they're giving up over 150. And Jim O'Neill likes to say that's not who we are, but I have to tell you that the way you ended the season last year and the way you're starting the season, it's not an aberration anymore, Jim. No. That's actually who you are now.
That is who
you
are.
You are a team that can get run on by anybody.
Anytime.
And I do mean anybody can run on your team, because you've shown that everybody can run against your team. You've done nothing to quell the, they can't run on us, we're going to be a better run defense. After about 7-8 games, that becomes your identity. And newsflash, Cleveland, that's the identity of this team. They can't stop the run, they can't rush the passer, and they can't run the football. So in 3 of the key 4 phases of the offense and defense, they're failing miserably.
Oh, yes. Yeah, and you mentioned Barkevius Mingo. Matt, I am – now, this is somebody you could cut. This is not an indictment on Ray Farmer. This is from the previous administration. Okay? Barkevius Mingo, that was the turning point of the game. That happened, and I just thought, okay, that is the turning point. If they lose that game, you can point back to that moment right there where it gave them the first down and kept the drive alive. The defense did well on that stop. Kept them on the field, wore them down. And it didn't help that the offense was 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, and made Andy Lee once again look like the rock star punter that he is. He had a 76-yard punt, but we shouldn't be talking about the punter. So the defense got worn down, and that cost them, to me, that cost them the game. And Barkevius Mingo and Justin Gilbert continue to contribute in the exact wrong way. So it is just incredibly frustrating. You know what, Matt? Let's zip around the AFC North real quick here and from the shotgun. And we're going to go to the scoreboard, because the good news is for Browns fans, and Matt, what is so frustrating is that if they had even half their wits about them, they might actually be able to make a challenge for this division, especially with Ben Roethlisberger going down. The Steelers somehow still won 12-6 over the St. Louis Rams. in what was, hey, if we thought our game was ugly, that was really ugly. But Big Ben had the lineman fall on his, and he has a torn MCL, so expected out 4 to 6 weeks there. And for the Baltimore Ravens, the first time in franchise history that they begin a year 0-3. Like, very, very shocking. They drop 28-24 to the Cincinnati Bengals at home, who are 3-0. With the Pittsburgh Steelers and without Ben Roethlisberger and Michael Vick, is this a team that you feel can be had, or are they still just too good in too many other areas on offense? We know the secondary's weak, but on offense.
The secondary has been weak for a long time for the Steelers, and they've always found a way to overcome it because they had a monster front seven. They don't have as many monsters on that front seven as they once did, so I think it'll be tough sledding for them. Initially, I would think that they'll probably fall somewhere between, if he misses 4 games, I think they'll be 2-2. If he misses 6, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say that they still maintain 500 and go 3-3 in his absence. Michael Vick is experienced enough where he can lead the team if they believe in him, and we'll see what happens. I mean, Mike Tomlin's a pretty darn good football coach, and he knows how to adjust. It's more than I can say for a lot of people, and I think he'll find a way to win. That's Pittsburgh's way. They always find a way to win. What's more concerning to me is Baltimore's start. I didn't have them at 0-3. Obviously, They've never done it before, but it's interesting. They've had some serious struggles holding themselves accountable. You look at some of the dumb penalties that they've made late in games. It's arguably cost them 2 games. It for sure cost them the one against Oakland when they inexplicably roughed Derek Carr, and then it cost them again last week. So it's just undisciplined football out of the Baltimore Ravens, and John Harbaugh has to get his boys rallied up really quickly if he wants to make another run at this thing, because he's running out of time.
Sure, and for the Cincinnati Bengals, A.J. Green with just a monster day, 200-plus yards, 2 touchdowns. I'm not an Andy Dalton fan, but at least he can get him the football. One other score to point out, Matt, the Browns' next opponent, the San Diego Chargers, get thumped 31-14 by the Minnesota Vikings. They are littered with injuries, so we'll get into that much more on Friday, but maybe, cross our fingers, maybe an opportunity for this Browns team to be more like the Tennessee group and be mad and PO'd about their performance than the one we saw in Week 1 and Week 3.
You'd hope, but the San Diego team also doesn't have to make a cross-country trip.
That's true.
And I think that could, and then with the Browns augmenting their travel schedule this year and not getting that extra day out west, rather, they're staying like it's a regular road game and going out on Saturday, I think it could be, I think they might want to readjust that plan when they go deeper into the season, but they're going to try and test it and see what they've got. I don't like the idea of making a 3-hour time change without time to adjust, but it's only a 24-hour period before you play the game, so how much adjusting do you really need?
It's a gamble, but we'll see. Let's get real quick to the Bark-Off, where we hear your tweets from @AndrewC81 and @MattFloorJancic. This one comes from @JoeCall, says, guys, cut Justin Gilbert, cut Barkevius Mingo, cut Dwayne Bowe. Obviously fed up with 3 high-profile guys who are getting paid but doing absolutely nothing on the field. I wouldn't disagree with any of that, Matt.
Definitely not. I'd be starting to trim a little bit more. I'd be starting to look at some guys and really go, okay, you, and you're out, and you, and you off the practice squad, you get your shot, because I'm sick of looking at this crap. And maybe hungry young players is the way to go, not fat and happy first-round draft picks and crazy free agent signings. Yeah,
well, that does it. We will be back on Friday to look ahead to Chargers and Browns. You've been listening to The Doghouse, your inside look at the Cleveland Browns. I'm Andy McNamara. He's Matt Florjancic. Enjoy the week, folks.